Imagine this. Someone insults you in front of a crowd. They smirk, waiting for you to explode, waiting for you to lose control, to react without thinking. But instead, you remain silent, unshaken, calm. In that moment, you don't just surprise them, you dominate the situation. Because real power isn't about being louder or faster. It's about being composed when others are chaotic. It's about choosing your response instead of being enslaved by your emotions. Most people today are emotional landmines, walking triggers. A single rude comment, a delayed message, a disagreeing opinion, and they explode. That's not control. That's vulnerability. And it's exactly how the world manipulates you, through your reactions. They poke, you respond. They post, you rage. They bait you, and you bite. But here's the Stoic truth most never understand. The person who doesn't react, the one who pauses, who observes, that person owns the moment. In this video, you're going to learn how to train your mind to stop reacting like everyone else. You'll discover ancient Stoic techniques that helped emperors stay composed during war, and you'll learn how manipulators, armed with dark psychology, exploit your impulses to gain power over you. This isn't about becoming emotionless, it's about becoming untouchable. Before we dive in, type this in the comments to anchor this mindset. I control the response. Say it, mean it, live it, because the world wants you reactive. But from today, you choose calm, you choose power, you choose to become unshakable. Number 1, why most people react without thinking. Most people have no idea they're being controlled. They think they're making decisions, but really, they're just reacting to triggers that were planted in them years ago. Childhood programming, emotional wounds, social validation. All of it forms a system that runs in the background. So when something upsets them, they don't pause, they don't reflect, they react, automatically, impulsively, and often destructively. That's not freedom, that's being predictable. And in today's world, the predictable are the easiest to manipulate. The average person reacts because their mind has never been trained to do anything else. They were never taught how to pause, never taught how to step back, never shown that responding is an art form rooted in strength, not passivity. They confuse silence with weakness, when in reality, silence is strategy. Stoicism teaches that our mind is the only thing we truly own. Yet most people lease it out to every stranger on the internet, every toxic friend, every news headline. They don't control their mind controls them. But the moment you become aware of this, everything changes. When you realize that you don't have to react, that every trigger is a test, that every insult is bait, you begin to take your power back. That's the first step toward mental dominance, not reacting like everyone else. Number 2, the hidden cost of emotional reactivity. Every emotional reaction you give away costs you something, your peace, your reputation, your power. But most people never see the price tag. It's not always obvious. It shows up in how people start walking on eggshells around you. It shows up in missed opportunities, in broken relationships, in the silent judgment of others. The world doesn't reward emotional explosions, it punishes them quietly. Every time you react without control, you prove to others that you're easy to manipulate, easy to predict, and easy to break. And in that vulnerability, your influence vanishes. The Stoics knew this. They saw emotion not as something to suppress, but something to govern. Marcus Aurelius faced betrayal, death, and constant pressure, yet remained still. Why? Because he understood that overreacting was a luxury a leader couldn't afford. Emotional reactivity isn't just weakness, it's exposure. It tells the world exactly where and how to hurt you. When someone sees you react, they learn what controls you. They mark your triggers. And next time, they'll use them. If you want respect, composure must be your weapon. If you want control, restraint must be your discipline. The most powerful people in the world are those who feel everything, but show nothing unless it's time. That is the Stoic advantage. So ask yourself, are your reactions worth your peace? Type, "Calm is my power" in the comments if you're ready to stop bleeding energy into moments that don't deserve it. Power isn't loud, power is composed. Number 3, dark psychology. How people use your reactions against you. Here's what most people never realize. Your emotional reactions are data, and manipulators, those who understand dark psychology, are always watching. They study how you respond when you're angry, jealous, insecure, or afraid. Then they use it to control you. Say something to trigger your pride, and you'll defend yourself. Hint at rejection, and you'll chase validation. Make you feel left out, and they own your attention. That's not just manipulation, that's psychological warfare. And if you're reactive, you're an open target. This is how toxic partners keep you hooked, how marketers push you into decisions, how narcissists dominate relationships. It's all based on the same principle. If they can control your emotions, they can control your behavior. That's why reactivity is so dangerous. It doesn't just hurt you emotionally, it gives someone else the remote control to your mind. But when you stop reacting, something terrifying happens. For them, you become unreadable. You become unpredictable. They can't manipulate what they can't trigger. That's when the power shifts. That's when the game changes, because now you're no longer a puppet. They are. If this hits you deeply, comment, "I'm untriggerable" below. That's the level we're aiming for, unbothered, unmoved, unshaken. Number 4, the Stoic principle of emotional detachment. Emotional detachment isn't about being cold or distant. It's about being in control. The Stoics believed that we must observe our emotions, not obey them, that we must feel fully, but act wisely. They trained themselves to separate the event from the interpretation, the trigger from the reaction. Epictetus said it best. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. That one principle alone can change your life. You see, when you detach emotionally, you gain clarity. You stop identifying with every thought that enters your head. You stop assuming every feeling demands action. And in doing so, you create a space between stimulus and response, a space where power lives. Detachment doesn't mean apathy, it means mastery. It's the ability to see chaos and not be consumed by it. It's the ability to hear an insult and not take it personally. It's choosing to respond as the highest version of yourself, every single time. This is what makes Stoicism a superpower in today's reactive world. While others are hooked by outrage, drama, and petty emotional warfare, you're watching it from above. Calm, calculated, unmoved. That's emotional detachment, that's freedom, and that's where your edge begins. Comment, "I respond with reason," if you're ready to live above the noise and stop being emotionally hijacked by every little thing. Number 5, the power of the pause. There is a fraction of a second between what happens to you and how you choose to respond. That tiny space is where your entire life changes. The Stoics lived in that space. They mastered it. And in that pause, they found peace, power, and dominance over themselves. Because reacting is easy, it's automatic. It takes no effort to explode, to snap, to lash out. But to pause, to breathe, to sit with discomfort and still choose a higher response, that takes strength. In that pause, you give your rational mind time to rise above your emotional storm. You stop being a slave to the moment. You give yourself the chance to respond like someone in control, not someone being controlled. And this isn't just philosophy, it's neuroscience. The amygdala hijacks your brain during emotional triggers, but with just a few seconds of pause, the prefrontal cortex, the seat of logic, comes online. That's the science behind Stoic self-control. That's the pause that makes kings out of men. The pause is your weapon. It disarms your enemies. It surprises your critics. It creates fear in manipulators who expected you to break. And over time, the pause becomes who you are. You become calm in chaos, clear under pressure, unshakable in conflict. If you're building that discipline, type "My pause is power" in the comments. That split-second silence, that's where warriors are made. Number 6, how to rewire your mind to respond, not react. If you want to stop reacting like everyone else, you have to rewire the very operating system of your mind. You have to uninstall the old emotional software that society, your upbringing, your pain, and your fears installed. And in its place, you have to build something stronger, calmer, and far more dangerous. A mind that chooses how to respond rather than gets hijacked into reacting. That doesn't happen overnight. It's not a switch, it's a system. And like any system, it starts with awareness, is strengthened by repetition, and becomes permanent through discipline. The first step in rewiring your mind is to become brutally honest with yourself about your triggers. You need to identify what provokes you, not just on the surface, but at the root. Most people think their anger is about what someone said or what happened, but a Stoic knows that the true trigger is internal. It's insecurity, it's ego, it's fear of being disrespected, it's unhealed wounds masquerading as strength. Until you shine a light on your internal pressure points, you will always be reactive. And as long as you are reactive, you are manipulatable. The second step is to practice delayed interpretation. This is a powerful Stoic habit most people have never even heard of. When something happens, don't label it immediately. Don't say "this is bad," or "this is unfair," or "this is disrespectful." Instead, adopt the mindset of Marcus Aurelius. Is this something that's within my control? That's the first filter. If it is, take calm action. If it isn't, let it pass like clouds in the sky. When you delay interpretation, you create distance, and distance is where your rational mind has space to breathe. That space is where you can choose a response instead of surrendering to a reaction. Third, train your internal observer. This comes straight from both Stoic practice and modern psychology. You are not your thoughts. You are the observer of those thoughts. The moment you can witness yourself getting triggered without acting on it is the moment you reclaim your power. The next time you feel anger rise in your chest, don't act. Watch it. Name it. Say to yourself, "This is anger. This is my mind reacting to something it perceives as a threat." When you create that internal separation, you disarm the emotional reaction, and with repetition, you begin to rewire your emotional blueprint. Now, let's get tactical. Every morning, before you even touch your phone, do a mental rehearsal. Visualize situations that normally provoke you, being ignored, criticized, disrespected, delayed. Then rehearse your calm response. See yourself staying composed, breathing, pausing, speaking deliberately, or staying silent. This is what ancient Stoics called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. They prepared for the worst mentally so they could handle it calmly when it arrived. That's not pessimism, it's power training. But it doesn't end with visualization. You need behavioral conditioning. Here's a brutal truth from dark psychology. Most people are conditioned like dogs. They are rewarded for emotional outbursts and punished for control. If you want to become untouchable, you have to reverse that. Start rewarding yourself internally every time you pause, stay calm, or remain silent in moments you'd normally explode. Say to yourself, "I chose power. I chose mastery." That affirmation rewires your identity. You're no longer someone who reacts, you're someone who chooses. And yes, it will feel unnatural at first. You've spent years, maybe decades, being reactive. Your nervous system is used to fight or flight, so don't expect perfection overnight. Expect resistance. Your mind will try to justify your reactions. They deserved it. It's just who I am. I was provoked. Kill those thoughts. They are the lies of the old version of you, the one who was easy to provoke, easy to read, easy to play. That version dies today. Let's talk about silence, your most underrated tool. Most people panic in silence. They feel the urge to fill space, defend themselves, explain everything. Don't. Learn the power of strategic silence. In tense moments, say nothing. Observe. Let the other person exhaust themselves. The more you speak emotionally, the more ammunition you give away. The more you remain still, the more unsettling you become to manipulators. This is a tactic used by interrogators, CEOs, and high-level negotiators. They remain silent just long enough to shift the power dynamic. Try it. Watch how the room changes. Next, embrace the 4-second rule. Before you respond to anything, online, in person, text, confrontation, count to 4 in your mind. Breathe in, hold, exhale, speak. This tiny habit recalibrates your nervous system. It tells your brain, we're not in danger. We don't need to react. We're in control. It's a reset button, and with repetition, it becomes instinct. But here's the most important part. You must change your identity. Don't just act like a Stoic. Become one. See yourself as the calm one, the composed one, the person who doesn't flinch, doesn't crack, doesn't chase validation or react to noise. This isn't fake confidence, it's earned stillness. When you anchor your identity to the mindset of the composed observer, every situation becomes easier to navigate. You don't need to be louder to be powerful, you just need to be less reactive. People will start noticing. They'll ask, why don't you get angry like before? Why didn't you clap back? And you'll smile, because you know something they don't. You've outgrown the emotional chaos. You've taken control of your mind. You no longer dance to the music of other people's moods. And in that silence, they'll feel your strength. So today, I want you to write this phrase in the comments below and burn it into your mindset. I respond. I don't react. That's not just a sentence. It's your new standard. Because from this moment forward, you are not like everyone else. You are not impulsive. You are not predictable. You are not controlled. You are stoic. You are calculated. You are powerful. Number 6. When you stop reacting, you become dangerous. The moment you stop reacting, people start watching you differently. There's a shift in the room when you're calm and silent while others are flailing emotionally. That's stillness. That's not weakness. That's intimidation. You become a mystery. They don't know what you're thinking, and that makes them nervous. When you stop reacting, you stop giving people a blueprint of how to control you. They can't read you, they can't move you, and that makes you powerful in a way most people will never understand. Most people are addicted to expression. They need to react to feel seen, to feel heard, to feel validated. But the moment you master composure, you no longer depend on anyone's reaction to justify your own. You become dangerous because you operate outside the emotional loop that controls everyone else. While they're still fighting for attention, respect, or dominance through noise, you're securing power through silence. And that silence speaks. It says, I'm not moved by your chaos. I'm not triggered by your bait. I'm not like the rest. And that level of control makes manipulators retreat. It makes weak men feel insecure. It makes emotional people question themselves. You don't need to flex. You don't need to bark. You simply exist in control, and that in itself is threatening to those who can't control anything, not even themselves. But here's the real secret. When you stop reacting, you don't just become powerful in the eyes of others, you become powerful in your own mind. You start trusting yourself. You feel grounded, stable. You stop regretting outbursts. You stop apologizing for losing your temper. You stop questioning your decisions because they're no longer emotional, they're intentional. And that kind of self-trust is rare. It's lethal, because now nothing can shake you. Not disrespect, not failure, not chaos. Type, "My silence is strength" in the comments if you've felt this shift. If you've started responding differently. If you've seen the power that comes when you no longer let the world pull you out of your peace. Let them wonder what's going on in your head. Let them feel the weight of your presence, not the noise of your reaction. That's when you know you've become dangerous. Number 8, the world trains you to react. You must unlearn it. From the moment you could feel, they've been programming you to react. The media, your peers, your upbringing, it's all been designed to make you emotionally impulsive. They sell you anger, feed you drama, push buttons to get a rise out of you. Why? Because a reactive person is easy to control, easy to market to, easy to manipulate. The world doesn't want you calm, it wants you triggered, because a triggered mind is a distracted mind, and a distracted mind can be steered anywhere. Look around. Social media thrives on outrage. Headlines aren't written to inform, they're written to provoke. Look at this. You won't believe what happened. They did what? The world doesn't reward calmness, it rewards noise. And most people, they eat it up. They're stuck in a loop, scrolling, reacting, judging, arguing, proving themselves to strangers who don't even matter. This is not by accident. It's engineered chaos. It's a system designed to make you lose focus and lose control. And here's the part that hurts the most. If you're not intentional, this conditioning becomes your personality. You start thinking you are reactive, that you're just hot-tempered or emotional, that it's just who you are. But that's a lie. That's not who you are. That's who you were trained to be. And what was trained can be untrained. What was learned can be unlearned. You just have to unplug from the noise, from the chaos, and start building your inner world with more discipline than the world builds your outer one. This is where Stoicism becomes your rebellion. It becomes your silent protest. While the world wants speed, you give them slowness. While they want volume, you give them silence. While they want your reaction, you give them stillness. And the best part, when you unlearn what the world taught you, you start seeing it for what it really is. You're no longer sucked into every trend, every argument, every emotional trap. You become clear-eyed, focused, intentional. If you're at that stage where you're learning to unlearn, type "I choose stillness" in the comments. Because this isn't just about mindset. It's about rejecting the programming. It's about no longer being a pawn in someone else's emotional chess game. It's about reclaiming your mind before the world trains you to lose it again. Number 9, final message. You've made it this far because something inside you is shifting. You're no longer satisfied with being reactive, predictable, and emotionally exposed. You're choosing discipline over chaos, silence over noise, power over impulse. And that alone separates you from 99% of the world. Because most people will never do this work. They'll keep reacting, keep feeding the system that profits off their instability. But not you. You're building something deeper, a fortress within your mind that no one can shake. Understand this. Your power doesn't come from how loudly you speak, how quickly you respond, or how emotionally you react. It comes from your restraint, from your ability to pause, reflect, and respond with precision. That's what Stoicism teaches. That's what dark psychology confirms. And that's what you're applying now, consciously, with intention, like a warrior preparing for life's battlefields. Let the world scream. Let them insult, provoke, lie, and try to pull you down into their chaos. You will not react. You will observe, you will understand, and you will respond only when necessary, with purpose, not emotion. That is power, that is mastery, that is freedom. Before you go, lock in this mindset by commenting one last time, "I respond, I don't react." Say it like you mean it, because that phrase isn't just a comment, it's your new code, your mental armor. And if this message hit you deeply, if you're tired of living like everyone else and you're ready to elevate your mind, hit that like button right now. Subscribe to Stoic Spark for more mental warfare, ancient wisdom, and psychological edge. And don't forget to turn on notifications, because you're not just watching another channel. You're building a stronger version of yourself, one mindset shift at a time. Now go out there, not as someone who reacts, but as someone who controls the room through stillness, someone who watches while others fall apart, someone unshakable, someone legendary,